Is Toronto about to make the coldest, most calculated move in franchise history by replacing homegrown loyalty with $400 million of pure star power? Or are they about to watch their biggest mistake walk into the arms of their most hated rival? The winter meetings in Orlando just became ground zero for the most significant roster transformation in Blue Jays history. On Monday, December 8th, 2025, veteran insiders Bob Nightingale from USA Today and Ken Rosenthal from The Athletic dropped reports that should have every Toronto fan feeling a mix of excitement and absolute dread. The Blue Jays are preparing to offer Kyle Tucker a 10-year, $401 million contract. Yes, you heard that right. $401 million. But here's the part that's going to rip your heart out if you've been following this team for the last 6 years. Signing Tucker almost certainly means Bo Bichette is gone. And the cruelest twist of fate, he might be heading to the Boston Red Sox, where he's always crushed it at Fenway Park. This is the definition of addition by subtraction, and it's about to get messy. Let's start with Kyle Tucker, because if the Blue Jays are going to spend $400 million on anyone, you need to understand exactly what they're getting. Tucker is a 28-year-old superstar who just completed a bridge year with the Chicago Cubs, hitting .266 with 22 home runs, 73 RBIs, and the kind of all-around game that makes general managers lose sleep trying to figure out how to acquire him. He's a left-handed bat with gold glove defense, speed on the bases, and the ability to hit in the middle of any lineup in baseball. More importantly, he doesn't need to be the face of the franchise. He's perfectly comfortable being the Robin to Vladimir Guerrero Jr.'s Batman, which is exactly what Toronto needs. They don't need another superstar who demands the spotlight. They need a complementary piece who makes everyone around him better. Bob Nightingale's reporting confirms what we've been hearing for days. Tucker visited the Blue Jays facility in Dunedin, Florida. Now, Nightingale notes that Tucker's house in Tampa is less than 30 minutes away, so the visit wasn't exactly a massive logistical undertaking. But here's the thing. Players of Tucker's caliber don't waste time visiting teams they're not seriously considering. This wasn't a courtesy meeting. This was a negotiation. This was Ross Atkins rolling out the red carpet and showing Tucker exactly what life in Toronto could look like. And based on the $401 million projection from Spotrac, it looks like the Blue Jays are prepared to make Tucker the highest paid player in franchise history. Now let's talk about the financial engineering that makes this possible. Because $400 million doesn't just appear out of thin air. The Blue Jays have been strategic about their payroll structure. George Springer's contract comes off the books soon. Kevin Gausman's deal has an end date. The front office has been planning for this moment, creating flexibility to make a massive splash when the right opportunity presented itself. Kyle Tucker is that opportunity. He's 28 years old, entering his prime, and he's the kind of player you can build around for the next decade. The money is enormous, but the return on investment could be a championship. And after coming within one game of winning it all last season, Toronto isn't interested in moral victories anymore. But here's where this story takes a devastating turn for anyone who's emotionally invested in the Blue Jays' homegrown core. Signing Kyle Tucker almost certainly means the end of Bo Bichette's time in Toronto. The math doesn't work to keep both. The positional fit doesn't make sense. And with the Blue Jays already committed to massive contracts for Guerrero, Cease, and potentially Tucker, there's simply no room in the budget or the lineup for Bo. According to reporting from Rosenthal and Salmon, the Boston Red Sox have identified Bichette as an intriguing alternative if they can't retain Alex Bregman. And here's the part that's going to haunt Blue Jays fans. Bo has always destroyed pitching at Fenway Park. He's hitting .329 with a .907 OPS in 157 plate appearances there. Imagine watching him launch home runs over the Green Monster wearing a Red Sox uniform. That's the nightmare scenario Toronto is about to create. The Red Sox connection makes too much sense, and that's what makes it so painful. Boston needs a middle infielder if Bregman leaves. Bichette needs a fresh start where his defensive limitations won't be scrutinized as harshly. The reporting suggests Boston could play him at second base, a position he played for the first time during the 2025 World Series. That positional flexibility solves the Red Sox's infield puzzle, while giving Bo a chance to rebuild his value in a hitter-friendly park. For Toronto, it's the worst possible outcome. Not only do they lose a beloved homegrown player, but they hand him to a division rival where he's proven he can thrive. That's not just losing a player. That's strengthening an enemy. Jonathan Adams from Sportscasting captured the brutal reality perfectly when he wrote, "If Tucker signs in Toronto, it would almost officially end Bo Bichette's time north of the border, where he could end up in Boston." Almost officially. Those two words carry so much weight. This isn't speculation anymore. This is the front office making a calculated decision that talent evaluation and championship probability matter more than sentiment and loyalty. Bo Bichette has been the heart and soul of this team through the rebuild, the near misses, and the heartbreak. But the harsh reality is that Kyle Tucker is a better player right now. And if you're trying to win a championship, you take the better player every single time. Let's talk about what the Blue Jays roster looks like if they pull off the Tucker signing. Nightingale reported that Toronto is also targeting closer Robert Suarez, which would give them elite options at the back end of the bullpen. Combine that with the rotation they've already assembled, Gausman, Cease, Bieber, Ponce, and potentially Berrios or Yesevich, and you're looking at a team that can match up with anyone in baseball. The lineup would feature Tucker, Guerrero, Springer, and Varsho. The bullpen would have Suarez, Chad Green, and Jordan Romano when healthy. This isn't just a competitive roster. This is a juggernaut designed to steamroll the Yankees and Orioles in the AL East. The Rogers ownership group has decided that almost winning the World Series in 2025 wasn't good enough. They want the parade, and they're willing to spend whatever it takes to get it. But let's be brutally honest about the risks here, because a $401 million contract is not without downside. Tucker is entering his age 28 season, which means the back half of a 10-year deal will cover his mid to late 30s. History tells us that very few players maintain elite production into their mid-30s, especially outfielders whose value is tied to defense and speed. There's also the question of how Tucker's game will age. Will he transition smoothly into a corner outfield or DH role as his range declines? Or will the Blue Jays be stuck paying $40 million a year to a declining asset? Those are legitimate concerns, and they're the reason some teams will pass on Tucker despite his obvious talent. Here's why I think the gamble is worth it, though. The Blue Jays championship window is right now. Vladimir Guerrero Jr. is in his prime. The rotation is stacked with talent. The division is competitive but winnable. If you're ever going to go all in, this is the moment. Waiting another year or trying to find value in the bargain bin isn't going to get you over the hump. You need star power, and Kyle Tucker is exactly that. He's a player who can change the complexion of your lineup, who can carry you through a playoff series, who can be the difference between winning and losing in October. That's worth $400 million if you're serious about winning a championship. Now, let's address the Bo Bichette situation from a pure baseball perspective, because as painful as it is emotionally, the decision makes sense analytically. Bo's defensive metrics at shortstop have been among the worst in baseball. His injury history is concerning. His offensive production, while solid, doesn't match the elite level Toronto needs from that position. Kyle Tucker, on the other hand, is a complete player with no significant weaknesses. He hits for average in power. He plays elite defense. He runs the bases well. He's durable. If you're building a championship roster and you have to choose between Bichette and Tucker, you take Tucker every single time. It's not personal. It's business. And in baseball, business decisions win championships. The broader context here is that the Blue Jays are signaling a shift in organizational philosophy. For years, Toronto has been criticized for being too conservative, too loyal to underperforming players, too afraid to make the hard decisions. Letting Bo Bichette walk and signing Kyle Tucker is the opposite of conservative. It's aggressive, it's ruthless, and it's exactly what championship organizations do. The Dodgers don't keep players out of loyalty. The Yankees don't hesitate to upgrade positions. The Astros are constantly churning their roster to maximize talent. Toronto is finally adopting that mentality. And while it's going to hurt in the short term, it's the right approach if winning is a priority. Here's the part that should terrify Yankees and Orioles fans. If the Blue Jays land Tucker and Suarez, they'll have the highest payroll in baseball according to Nightingale's reporting. That's not just spending money. That's declaring war on the rest of the division. That's saying we're not going to be outspent. We're not going to be out-talented. And we're not going to settle for second place anymore. The Rogers ownership group has deep pockets, and they're finally willing to open them. That changes everything about how the AL East operates. Suddenly, Toronto isn't the scrappy underdog hoping to sneak into the playoffs. They're the favorite, and everyone else has to adjust accordingly. Let's talk about the timeline here, because the next 72 hours at the winter meetings are going to be absolutely critical. Tucker is meeting with multiple teams. The Red Sox are still in play. The Yankees always have money to spend. The Dodgers never stop trying to add talent. If Toronto wants to close this deal, they need to move fast, and they need to make an offer Tucker can't refuse. For $101 million might be enough. It might not, but the fact that they're willing to go that high shows how serious they are about landing him. And then there's a Bo Bichette farewell tour that nobody wants, but everyone sees coming. If Tucker signs, Bo becomes a free agent looking for a new home. Boston makes sense for all the reasons we've discussed. Maybe the Mets get involved if they miss on bigger targets. Maybe the Phillies see value in his bat. Wherever he lands, it's going to be weird seeing him in another uniform. He's been a Blue Jay since he was drafted. He came up through the system with Guerrero. They were supposed to be the foundation of the next great Toronto team. But baseball doesn't care about supposed to be stories. It cares about winning, and right now, Kyle Tucker gives the Blue Jays a better chance to win than Bo Bichette does.